Hello, hi, I'm Jennifer Stewart, and today I am so excited to be chatting with Kira Willey. And I wanted to share a few things about her phenomenal background with kids and mindfulness and yoga. So, Kira is an award winning children's music artist. She teaches kids yoga and mindfulness, and she's the creator of Rockin Yoga school programs. She has had 4 releases of yoga and mindfulness albums for kids, and she's won numerous industry awards. Her songs include one of the famous songs, Colors, which many of you may have heard of. And I'm so excited that Kira is going to be speaking with me today, a part of my Peace and Joy Parenting Summit series. So, hi, Kira, how are you doing?
Having me. I'm doing great.
Very good. Well, happy to have you here today. So I am so excited to chat with you because I work with a lot of kids, and I know firsthand that life is stressful, right? Like they've got all these challenges with sporting events and all the electronics and technology. And I know that one of your things is trying to help them learn how to calm down. And I was just wondering if you could share today, what are some simple things a parent can do to help their child be able to relax in a regular day?
Right. You know, parents have this idea that mindfulness is something really complicated or that maybe needs special training. And it's really not. It's really incredibly simple. And a lot of the resources that I create are designed to help parents, to empower parents to be able to do this on their own. So I would say pick a kid friendly concept like breathing like a bear, which is the basis of my children's mindfulness book, actually. Anything that will get kids to pause and begin to control their breathing. Take long, slow, deep breaths in and out, in and out. And what you don't need to tell your toddler or young child is that it only takes a handful of slow, deep breaths to calm the nervous system down. So if you can do that while pretending you're a bear in a cave going to sleep, great, right? In 60
Definitely.
seconds, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, you've calmed that child down. Or better yet, that child has calmed herself down, right? And so if you can take those little breaks a couple times a day, maybe you do it in the car on the way to school, maybe you do it before homework time, maybe you do it at bedtime when it's hard to calm down. And those become a ritual in your day. Something very simple. And again, there are tons of simple resources out there for parents, not just mine, but lots and lots. It can make a huge difference in your family life.
Definitely. So, how about when a parent is out? One of the things a lot of parents will talk to me about, they're trying to go to the grocery store or something like that, and the kid is having a ginormous meltdown, and the mom just wants to get like some milk and some cereal and something for home. What can they do out in a regular day in the middle of chaos? What would you recommend?
Well, one of my favorites is five finger breath, which a lot of teachers do, and they train their kids just to react to these five fingers. And all you do is you put one finger to the base of your thumb, and you inhale and trace your thumb. Exhale, go back down. Inhale, trace your next finger. Exhale, go back down. So if you keep going, you reach the end of your hand, you've done 5 long, deep breaths. If you can get in the other hand, that would be great too. But it's a very visual and kinesthetic activity for a young kid. They usually really like doing it. They get involved. It involves a lot of their senses. And again, in 5 deep breaths, taken that nervous system down, you've redirected their attention, and hopefully you've avoided a nuclear meltdown in the grocery store.
Right. No, I love that. That's definitely in our preschool we teach always trying to use the whole body. I love that, definitely. And so some of the other things that I was thinking about is obviously there's a lot going on in our world. So I don't know if you've thought about, this might be a little bit out of your realm, but thought about like what are some of the things that you think parents could do to maybe reduce some of the stress for kids? Have you ever thought about
Mhm.
that?
I do. One of the things, I go to public schools all the time. I see tons and tons of kids all the time, and I talk to a lot of kids. And one of the things I think that is missing from a lot of kids' lives is structure and
I agree.
predictable routine.
Yes.
And I think there are a lot of kids who have several homes, who go to caregivers, who go to grandma's house, and I would say the biggest service you could do a lot of kids, especially who are in that type of situation, is create a predictable routine that they can count on, a schedule. Now, obviously things change in all our lives from day to day, but maybe it means that whoever's house you're at, your bedtime is always at 8:30 and you always do this before bedtime. And everybody who's involved in that kid's caregiving knows that, and that's a non-negotiable. Or maybe it's that, this happens after school every day, or this happens if homework happens. I find that a lot of kids are bouncing around. They don't have anything they can sort of hang their hat on.
Yeah, no, I see that all the time. Yeah, in the kids that come to my school, definitely.
And it creates a very unsettled feeling in children, and they react to that by acting out, right? Or acting, that unsettled feeling in them comes out maybe as crazy behavior. But if you can give them as much predictive, especially young kids, they really, really thrive on ritual, right? And predictable schedule. And that as young kids, right? So as much as you can give that to kids, that will really, really help lower the stress level. And another way to do it is to say at bedtime every night, talk about what's going to happen the next day. Go over it.
I like that.
Doesn't wake up and go, wait, where am I going today? Who's picking me up from school? Right? Which happens a lot. I know a lot of kids are going every which way.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
that can't be helped in a lot of cases. But if you can lie down with that child and say, okay, here's what we do every night. Maybe you have some great ritual where you talk about something good from the day or something like that. And then you say, and here's what's going to happen tomorrow. In the morning, we do this. In the afternoon, grandma will pick you up and, and go over it a couple times. So then that child can go to sleep knowing what's going to come the next day. So I would say that predictability is just really crucial for young kids.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. We definitely have kids in the middle of class who will ask like, I don't know who's getting me today, or, things like that. Yeah. And you can tell it stresses them out, and it's like, oh, it'll be okay. We will tell them. So usually at drop off, somebody will have said, who's going to be picking them up? So
Right.
yeah, but if they could have been prompted with that beforehand, definitely. I like that a lot. Good. And what do you think are some of the signs? I think it's always great if you can catch a child with what they're struggling with before it turns into like, a ginormous meltdown, right? So what do you think are some of the signs parents can watch for to see if maybe if the day is just too busy or there's too much going on, that child is like super stressed out? What are some of the clues before the huge meltdown comes?
Right. Yeah, I think what to watch for mostly is unexpected reactions to things that seem out of the realm of normal behavior for that child. So if that child drops a piece of their lunch on the floor and all of a sudden completely blows up and wouldn't normally, or starts crying uncontrollably at something that really shouldn't trigger that child, as quickly as you think. Those are the first signs I think in working with a lot of kids, but there are certainly more serious signs, disturbances in sleep, appetite changing, that type of thing that are, you hope to not get there. But I noticed certainly with my own kids, like when they were littler, that if they start reacting in a really extreme manner to something, I know they're stressed and I know I need to just take everything down a notch.
Definitely. Nice. And so do you think that it's better to do lots of like little relaxing parts during the day, or to do like one big longer session with your child, or how would you recommend approaching that?
The most important word in mindfulness of kids is consistency. So whatever you can do that you will do consistently, do it. So if that literally means 1 minute at bedtime, start there, but do it consistently, right? Do it every night. So I always say baby steps to parents and to teachers, because, do something that you absolutely cannot mess up. You know what I mean? If that's 1 minute every night at bedtime, awesome, do it. I mean, if you get all fired up about it, you're like, we're going to do 45 minutes of yoga and mindfulness every morning. You know what I mean? That'll last 3 days.
Yeah.
But if you can pick this one thing and and that 1 minute bedtime goes great, and you can do that consistently, it becomes a routine. It becomes something everyone looks forward to. Awesome. Now you add one at breakfast time where you just calm yourselves and maybe set sort of a intention or pick a word for the day or something sweet like that. And maybe you add one, after school when they want to go play, but they've got to sit down and do their homework. So we just take a moment, right? And we settle, so whatever works for the family, but consistency is the key. Whatever you can do that you really will do on a consistent basis, because that's where the benefits come in.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. I mean, with my own kids, that I have, my middle child is the one who gets stressed out really easy with stuff. And I don't, yeah, for him, it wouldn't be as beneficial just to do a long session every day, but to do lots of little bits here and there. Whereas, my youngest one, who's very like go with the flow, like I'll take her to a yin yoga class with me and she can sit there and do the whole thing, but yeah, no.
They're all different, but for most kids, shorter is better, right?
Yeah.
So short, my three things that I say for kids mindfulness is short, kid friendly, and consistent. Those are the keys.
Definitely. No, I like that a lot. And what do you think are some of the bigger stressors nowadays? I mean, I know for me as a teacher, I always worry about the technology. I feel like so many of these little kids are coming in and they are just all day long, like on their little iPad or whatever. And then I feel like as they get a little bit older, it seems like what's supposed to be fun with sports has turned into this whole big stressing thing. So
yeah.
And
there are a lot
so, yeah.
of sources of stress for kids these days. I'll start with the last one you just mentioned, which is that sports are becoming competitive earlier and earlier. Kids are asked to specialize at a very early age, right? It used to be that if a kid was really into sports, they could play something in the fall, something different in the winter, something different in the spring.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to be competitive, they
Right.
ask you to specialize at a very early age, which, in my opinion, is not healthy for a lot of reasons. But one of them is that it's a source of stress for the child. Again, going back to the routines, that's lack of a routine is very stressful for a child. Media. So the fact that kids have these devices now and are plugged in so many hours of the day, not only means it comes at the expense of movement in a lot of cases, which is not healthy, but it also means that kids aren't shielded from what's happening in the wider world. Whereas kids used to be able to live pretty well in a childhood bubble, right? Of sunshine and rainbows, which is where we want them to live when they're little. But unfortunately, given the fact that they and everyone around them are on screens and you get alerts about everything all the time, it's very hard to shield kids from what's going on in the wider world. So they hear about really scary things at an age when they don't know how to process them. And so I find when I talk to kids that they have heard about something scary in the world, and worse than having, even worse, or compounding it, I should say, is then they all talk about it and they don't have the correct information. So then it gets blown up into something, right?
Instead of having big imaginations. So.
Right. Instead of this thing having happened across the ocean, they think it happened the next town over and they're coming, you know what I mean? Those bad guys are going to be here at 3:00 or something, right? They just, because they talk among themselves. And there's just not this shield of sort of precious childhood that used to exist because kids didn't have access to media all the time. And that's really, really stressful for kids. And so I talk to parents and teachers a lot about, as much as you can, shield kids from media, until they're old enough to process it. There is absolutely a time and a place for technology. I mean, it's incredible. I don't know what we do without all the conveniences that it affords us. But I worry that it comes, at a price for young children.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I have kids come in all the time and they'll be talking about scary things that happen on the news that, I mean, honestly, sometimes I haven't even heard of it yet. Like what happened? It's like, oh yeah, I wish that they weren't able to be exposed to that. But I think it's challenging for the parents. Sometimes they want to, the parents feel like they want to stay connected to the world. And so they just have it going on around them. And yeah, I don't think they realize how much the little kids are picking up on things that they're hearing in the background, right? They're thinking it's just going over their head.
Well, and that's it too, is that parents need to really work hard to keep their conversations appropriate around kids, right? And that's really a challenge. But I mean, I think it's really, really important. Kim John Payne talks a lot about this. He's
Oh,
had
I love his
wonderful
work
book,
too.
Simplicity Parenting, and other books and resources that he has, talks a lot about this. And I would encourage everyone to read that book and get into all of his teachings, because he really, really believes strongly in preserving that magic of childhood, and has a lot of practical tips on how to do so.
Definitely.
It's really important. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So, okay, so let's go back to what parents are able to do then. All right, so they have all the stressors going on, and we've addressed some of them. Obviously, technology and sports, and then just the world, hearing all the crazy stuff that happens,
Yeah.
which has always, I think, happened, but with the modern way we can connect, yeah, now they hear about it all.
Right.
So now we have to figure out how to get the kids to de-stress. So we talked about we can do little bits, throughout the day. Do you recommend more like listening to things, or more moving their body, or how would you recommend most parents approach
Yeah. I would
de-stressing?
say sit down and look at your typical day or your typical week, and start to identify the times when things go south, right? When it doesn't go well, when there's melting down, when there's a lot of anxiety, when there's a lot of, stressful feeling in the household. And you'll start to see consistencies, right? It's during transitions, maybe. Like, a lot of kids, especially young
Always.
kids, right, have a hard time. They're so into this game, this block thing that they're building. And even though you've told them 5 times, you're going to have to get your shoes on, it's time to go. You know what I mean? That transition is really hard. Or, for other kids, it's any change in routine. Or for other kids, there are lots of different triggers. Or settling down when you have to for rest time, or whatever it is. So once you identify those, because a lot of times we don't even, unless you stop and really think about it, that trigger doesn't become clear in your mind that, oh, it's always when this happens that my child goes to pieces, right?
Right.
So once you've identified it, you can start to figure out how to work with that. So if it's the transition, maybe you need to, even though for you it's like we're just getting on our shoes and we're going,
Right.
you need to enter that child's world a little bit. Go sit down with the block game for 5 minutes, play it, and while you say, in 5 minutes, here's the timer, right? We need to get up and get our shit, and you do it with the child the first couple, or something. Like, you need to work out a very calm and patient way to address that. I think one of the things that my kids always melted down about was being rushed.
Definitely.
And nobody likes to be rushed, but young kids especially, who don't love transitions, who don't love change, if you put rushing them on top of that, because you didn't allow enough time as a parent, we're guilty of magical thinking, like, oh, I can get the dishes done and do this and make one more phone call and just send this email and then we'll go, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then you're rushing your child out the door. I mean, disaster it used to be in my house. So I would need to build in all kinds of extra time, back that exit of the house up 15 more minutes and go sit with my child.
Yeah, well, and I really think one of the things you said is important, to go and be with your child, right, and give them that attention, because I think a lot of times the stress about everything is that they feel like they're fighting for our attention. Yes. And so then they're going to have a meltdown. So like, I love that you said if you go sit down with them and do the blocks or whatever it is that they're playing with, and then help them through it, as opposed to just while you're on the phone or checking, your messages and telling your child to hurry up and get ready, that they're feeling like, I can't.
Also be really clear and mean what you said. So if you say, we are going in 5 minutes, bring with you a kitchen timer that says 5 minutes. And the second that thing goes off, up you go. You don't allow the 1 more minute, let me do one more thing, because then what you said didn't mean anything, right?
I know, totally agree.
101, but I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, it's really hard to do. But if you do it consistently, then your child will be like, oh, okay, in 5 minutes, we're really going. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
definitely.
it won't be such a problem down the road.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think setting the expectations, I think in general, that's something that, I can do in the classroom as a teacher, but parents can do at home. They can do the same things that we would implement with a group of kids to get their, one or two kids to listen. We definitely love to use, at a certain time, we do a certain thing. Maybe we have, a bell that we ring or a song that we play or something we say, just to trigger in their head, like, all right, this is what we're going to do next. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because as a musician, I use song and rhythm for everything. And I have this training I do for preschool teachers and kids yoga teachers called The Magic of Music. And it's all about using rhythm and song and music to ease those transitions, to create structure and musical touchstones throughout the day, and to engage kids, all their senses. And I'm glad you do that, because that's one of the best tools you can use to engage kids, right? And help them, get them to do what they need to do. So
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, we love your programs actually in our preschool. We have a whole yoga thing we do once a week, and
Awesome.
we love using your songs. The kids really respond to it. It's fun, it's playful, but your voice and your music is relaxing at the same time. So it's a
Oh, thank
perfect
you.
mix of all that. Yeah, no, definitely. So, and you had mentioned earlier, we were chatting before the interview, that you have something that you would like to offer the parents if they are able to come over to your website.
Yes.
And what was that?
Willey.com. Yep. And I would love to offer a free download of my CD, which is Mindful Moments for Kids. And that's a collection of 30 of these 1 minute, simple and really kid friendly mindfulness exercises, like breathing like a bear, like flower breath. They're in different categories: calm, focus, relax. So whatever you need, they're designed to help kids learn how to focus their energy if that's what they need to do, calm themselves if that's what they need to do, sometimes get energy if they're feeling lackadaisical, but they have to focus on, or have to get energy for schoolwork or something. So they're my voice narrating them. The backdrop is my music, just soothing, calming music. So I'd love to offer those to all of your viewers, and hope that it's helpful, because you can just put the audio on and literally just follow my voice. So it's very simple, and they're each just 1 minute long.
No, that's great, because 1 minute is so easy, right? Anybody can fit that in.
You can't tell me you don't have 1 minute.
Yeah, I know. Right. And little kids who have an attention span of very little, as 1 minute is perfect. I love that. And we love all your breathing exercises, and it's perfect. I mean, it's like what they would do in, a big person's yoga class, but made it much more fun and manageable for.
Yeah, it's got to be an engaging concept, or they're not going to care, right? So you have to make it relatable to a young child. So they're all fun concepts, with flowers and hot chocolate and soup and bears and that kind of thing. But they all teach a mindfulness lesson, without being overtly teachy.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that so many times I think people forget that developing the inside of the child and their heart and their soul and their mind is often, as a teacher, I mean, honestly, I think more important than the ABCs and the numbers and all that stuff. So I love that you're doing this, and I am just so appreciative that you were trying to help these little kids learn how to relax and
Thank you.
deal with life, because it's not going away, right?
I think it's essential learning for young kids. The facts and figures are now at the tip of our fingers with all these devices, like, right? But the stuff that kids really need to learn and practice is self-regulation, being able to calm themselves, being able to pause and make good choices. Those are the things that'll be critical in the future. So I think it's really essential learning. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Fabulous.
Well, thank you, Kira, so much. I'm glad that we got to chat today. And so what is the best way for people to follow you or contact you or get more information for, I know, the parents that are out there that want to help their kids be calm?
Go to my website, kirawilley.com. I have a TEDx talk on bite-sized, simple mindfulness for kids. You can watch that. I'll give you some more ideas, and maybe something great to show your child's teacher if you're trying to get simple mindfulness implemented into the classroom. But kirawilley.com, Willey.com. And there's a contact information there. We read all the submissions that come in. So if you have any questions or want to get in touch, please do.
Great. And you also have, I believe they can get a lot of your music and books on Amazon, of course. Yes. Easy to access. So
yeah, 3 CDs of yoga songs for kids, mindful moments for kids, and then my new release is called Every Voice. It was out in June. It's all there. It's also on iTunes or Amazon or anywhere you get your music. My music's available. And my children's mindfulness book is on Amazon as well. Breathe Like a Bear.
Perfect. I love that. That's so fun. All right. Well, great. And make sure you guys can check in the email and on the website for the link for Kira's free download that she's offering you.
Yes,
so,
all
right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kira. I'm glad we got to chat today.
Thank you, Jennifer. See you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.